Press OK. All right, guys. I'm going to do a quick check right here. Give me a second to get a few things going. Mic check. We got Colin here. We got getting up a couple more pages on our side. So give me a moment.
Good morning and good evening, everybody. Not knowing where you are on the big planet of ours. Some places it's morning, some places it's night. So good morning and good evening.
We'll copy. All right, let's do this. Bam, bam. We got a few things we're going to cover today, guys.
Good morning and good evening, everybody.
Yeah, we had a quick adjustment. I know we have Colin online, we have myself. We're going to go and give a walkthrough of today's webinar. Three things we're going to cover today. First one, we're going to cover the abstract for the new project. What our strategic focus is going to be for the long term. At the same time, we'll talk about the swap, some of the details related to the swap, the one-to-one swap, the period of time which you'll be able to do the swap. At the same time, we'll also discuss the wallet as well, so you guys could be in a position, the web wallet, so you guys will be in a position to take advantage of the swap. We got Leah on the line. Hey, and we got Mike on the line so far. Just doing a quick check. Hey guys. Now, just to talk through the abstract. What is our new project going to be? What's going to be our focus? One of the main reasons, or one of the main things that we had to think about over this entire time is not necessarily a project that's going to be something where you guys will immediately go in the market and see value, but something that's going to help us in the long term, because a lot of people focus primarily on what the market valuation is going to be. What is going to be the value when we list on various exchanges? I'm more of the philosophy that we build the value, then we list on exchange. Not to say that we're going to go through a process like a public company, go through create an offering, get our EBITDA in a position where our earnings before interest, taxes, deductions, amortization in a position where we look very attractive, then list on a market. But we're going to follow a somewhat similar path in being able to build out the project, build out the platform, create some offerings, and then begin to list on some exchanges. And we're looking to do that over the next, say, 3 to 6 months, where you guys will see the product being built. You actually be able to test it at some point as well, experience it, give us your feedback, and that's why we build a community, to get that feedback on our product, and then list on some exchanges to see what the market feels about what we're doing. But I like to be able to build the product and build out the offering first. So with that said, we'll talk a little bit about what our offering is going to be about. So it's really about the future. It's about building a platform, or building a system put in place that will help not only individuals in a certain city, but also individuals in a country or various countries around the world, because it's going to be impacting everybody. It's not going to just impact folks in the United States. It's going to impact folks in China. It's going to impact folks in Asia Pacific in general. It's going to be impacting people across Latin America. It's going to be impacting people across India and all across Europe as well. So we want to build a project that takes that into consideration, which will put us in a position where our offering will have perceived value in the market. And with that said, I'll go ahead and just begin to jump into what I mean by that. So it's really about the future. It's really about knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics people will need in the future in order to be successful. In order to have these KSLs, knowledge, skills, and abilities, and other characteristics, either you will get them through formal institutions like four-year colleges or some training schools, or even two-year colleges and universities. But on a four-year time horizon, some people don't have enough time to go to college or money to go to college, because college is very expensive, particularly here in the United States. The cost of college has increased well beyond the rate of inflation, and so now it's at the point where it's exceeding um, the ability for the average folks to be able to go to college. But we need to be able to provide alternatives for people, hey Brian, people to get jobs moving into the future. Uh, People to easily skill and reskill. For example, one of the largest companies in the United States that's growing, it's doing a lot of automation. Even they're preparing at this point. I have an article here from Forbes. You take a look at the screen here that talks about the future, the automated future. And this was just published a few days ago, a couple of days ago. So knowing that automation and other technology will soon transform its work and workforce, Amazon recently announced it will invest $700 million to provide upskilling training for 100,000 of its employees between now and 2025. So you're talking about over the next 6 years, you're going to see this increase of training to retool the workforce within Amazon. If that's happening with Amazon, it goes to reason that it's happening in other organizations as well. The U.S. workforce, let's say the U.S. workforce will focus on high growth areas such as healthcare, machine learning, manufacturing, robotics, computer science, and cloud computing. Hey Romeo, so now it's in a position now where all of these high skilled in high knowledge areas, talking about healthcare, machine learning, manufacturing, robotics, computer science, cloud computing, that's going to be in high demand. And we need to have the workforce to be able to do that, because currently it's a workforce shortage in these areas. So the future of work is now, and the challenge is not just adapting new technology, but adapting to the dynamicism of the economy, which will only accelerate. So Amazon is demonstrating a new role employers must play to counter that challenge. Fostering a new relationship with workers and maintaining and growing their skills is imperative for business success. So most businesses will have to go through this process. So if you're talking about these very large multinational corporations, that's going to happen. The reskilling is going to happen. The retooling will happen, and they'll have the resources to be able to train their workforce. So it's a McKinsey report, and I provided this link to this article so you guys can read it as well. Estimate between 75 and 375 million people. That's almost 3 to 14% of the global workforce could be forced to switch occupation categories by 2030. So you're looking at over the next 11 years, everybody's going to have to go, well, at least 3 to 14% of the workforce, they're going to have to reskill in order to stay competitive. And we're taking that into consideration. So as leaders of businesses, or even as like small and medium-sized businesses, it would be prudent to begin to understand how the workforce is changing, or how the world of work is changing, and how we can begin to adapt. And that is promoting learning and reskilling. So how do we begin to introduce tools into the marketplace so people can begin to understand what are some of the demanding roles in the future, or jobs that are in demand in the future, and what are the skills, knowledge, skills, and abilities associated with the same. And not only that, how can they begin to go through a learning and training program with some type of either micro credentials or some type of certification, or verification of their knowledge, skills, and abilities, so that they compete in the global workforce. And with that said, we should be in a position where we help in that process. Also going through and having talent plans where you're going through and helping to train individuals within organization and leverage flexible talent. So you're seeing like freelancers, or individuals who are willing to contract their services to small, medium, or large-sized businesses because they do have the skills to be able to compete. So I'll put this article in the description below a little bit later. But the main point of the article is that automation is happening, and it's happening at a global scale. And this is just one article. Here's another one. Let's read. And this is within one of the fastest growing economies in the world. When you begin to talk about India, and also within China as well. Indian graduates and employees are on high alert. Reskilling is a must to be able to stay employed. With that said, if we go by this report by NASCOM, about 40% of India's total workforce must be reskilled over the next 5 years to cope with emerging trends such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, machine learning, and our area, blockchain. With this retooling that's going to take place, we want to provide, with this new project, an opportunity for people to easily come in, use a platform, gain knowledge, skills, and abilities that are valued in the workplace, and then be able to re-enter the workplace and working in their respective fields. So with this article, like I said, I'll provide a link to it as well, so you guys can take a look at it, because what this report from the World Economic Forum suggests is that we're going through another industrial revolution. So the future jobs of 2018, the fourth industrial revolution, will make 75 million jobs obsolete by 2022. So you're talking about 75 million jobs being totally irrelevant in the next, you're talking about 3 years. You're talking about 3 years from now. So, but would also create 133 million new jobs for a net gain of 58 million. So because there's going to be this job displacement that's going to be happening, there's also going to be a corresponding demand for a new set of jobs. I was interviewed maybe about 3 or 4 months ago. There was someone from like the Boston Consulting Group who reached out to me and asked, what does the future of work look like? What does the future of work look like? I'm saying, well, it's going to displace individuals, but at the same time provide an opportunity where people will need to reskill. So what's the plan for the ATM network? Well, with the ATM network, for people who still want to pursue that project with LPC, because that's with the LPC project. If they would like to have the ATM, they would like to coordinate with the folks over at CoinLogic. Just if they'd like to have my information where I can send them over the ATM and they move forward and push it forward, they can move forward with the LPC project. But this is a focus where we do have knowledge, skills, and abilities. This is where we can add value in the marketplace, and this is the project where we'll move forward on in the future. So and just let me know if you have other questions around it. But there's a strategic shift in our project, moving from one where initially we were focusing, LPC is focusing on ATM machines, payment systems, which wasn't necessarily my focus, but just me coming in, just being able to support. But now this project, we're moving forward on the path where we're providing a variety of training and reskilling for the workforce of the future. So it's preparing for the future world of work. So I just showed those articles earlier, so you guys can understand and get a sense of where the demand is in terms of understanding a market need, and where the demand is, and where you can provide a portfolio of products and services. Hey, Jim. And provide a portfolio of products and services that will be able to serve the market and increase demand, so we can create value. So right now, at a very high level, we do see where there is a demand in the market. And I'll just go ahead and read our abstract. And I'll read our abstract for the new project. And this is, and I really kind of set this up in terms of the articles that I showed earlier. So due to advances in technology, there is a fundamental shift occurring within the global workforce, which requires constant learning and acquisition of new skills that are highly valued in the market. The future work on an individual basis will be characterized by high job displacement, frequent job changes, and constant reskilling, unlike any time in the history of the world. This is why I'm saying this is the fourth revolution. Well, the article from or the report from the World Economic Forum suggests that we're entering into a fourth industrial revolution. And with that said, organizations are beginning to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to train and retool their workforce. Some small and medium-sized businesses will be unable to train employees and will look to hire only those people with the knowledge, skills, abilities, and characteristics companies need to bring value to the marketplace. So small and medium-sized businesses won't necessarily be able to retrain, but you can go through a process of training, or you can go through a process of selection. Most small and medium-sized businesses will just want to select people who have those skills. So as a result, individuals will have the responsibility for diversifying their portfolio of verifiable knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics during their own time and at their own personal expense. So our solution right now, I'm calling it Exchange because we haven't designated our name just yet for the new project. But Exchange seeks to provide verifiable training, assessments, and certifications for individuals looking to compete within the global workforce of tomorrow. We will do this by building an artificially intelligent learning platform for the acquisition, assessment, and certification of hard and soft skills needed in the emerging world of work. So in essence, we're building a platform. So we're moving this forward, and both training and coaching will be incentivized using the exchange coin that we have here labeled XCZ. But once again, we're going through the naming process now. Both training and coaching will, training on the platform will be supplemented by member coaching services. And both training and coaching will be incentivized using the exchange coin. Certificates of training completion, assessment credentials, coaching, and payment of services will be registered on the new exchange blockchain in using the IPFS for business. Some of the milestones that we have in place. The full white paper will be rolled out in October of 2019. The first iteration of the AI-based training and assessment platform will be rolled out by December. The hard and soft skill training module will be rolled out every quarter with an anticipated target of 20 to 30 high demand skills in the modules being voted on by the community and deployed on the platform by February. So just to put out an initial list, we started out an initial list of both hard and soft skills to give you guys some thoughts around these different KSCOs. For soft skills, we have motivation, goal setting, metacognition, emotional intelligence, personality, leadership, teamwork, flow, and grit. How do you get yourself into the flow state? What are some of the characteristics of flow? How do you define grit? What is passion and perseverance for the accomplishment of long and short-term goals? These are some of the areas in which we'll begin to provide training in the soft skills area. The hard skills areas, we're looking at statistics, which is a necessary foundation for machine learning. The descriptives and inferential statistics, Bayesian statistics. How do you take prior information and incorporate that into your mathematical models in order to make predictions about the future, or really understanding the present, or getting a clear grasp of what had happened in the past? We have machine learning. You're talking about a variety of different mathematical models that can be deployed in various settings to optimize performance. Human intelligence, artificial intelligence, Python programming. A lot of the work, one of the fastest growing programming languages in the world is Python. And it's used in a variety of different contexts, including within AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. SQL, being able to extract information from databases. Ethical hacking. I know Niraj mentioned he has a lot of interest in being able to instruct and teach some of those courses as well. C++. Management, organizational behavior, entrepreneurship, human factors and performance, and experimental design. When you're just talking about some things like A/B testing, or really in statistical terms, it's just the t-test. Um, Quasi-experimental designs, experimental designs, longitudinal designs, so that you can begin to make inferences and be able to rule out threats to the validity of interpretation. So for the most part, and I'll post this at some point in the Telegram and also on Discord, so you guys can get a sense of where we're beginning to move. We're moving into an area where we do have competence, we do have the ability to deploy, and in terms of the platform, we will be leveraging systems that I have built in the past with application programming interfaces that already have AI technology built into it. So yes, I'll take a look at the Telegram for the suggestions as we move forward later. So at this point, this is the abstract for the project that we will be moving forward on. So it's not something that's short term. The project that we'll be doing is not something where you guys can just say, okay, I'm just going to be able to just dump on the market or expect it to go to the moon in the first month. This is a long-term project, and given the scope of the project, global reskilling, this is a blockchain-based project that's tackling global reskilling using blockchain-based training, certifications, and assessments. So combining assessments with certifications, now employees this is the vision that I see, is that people who don't necessarily have the hard or some of the soft skills to be able to compete in a global economy, given their blockchain-based certifications and credentials that they'll have on our blockchains and in our wallet, say either on the exchange platform or another wallet that we develop, you have these credentials that you'll be able to present to your employers to say, yes, I have gone through this training, I've gone through this certification, this is what I know, and it's verifiable because it's been logged on to the exchange blockchain. And we will do validation studies on all of our certifications to make sure that we're able to successfully predict performance on the job based upon someone having their credential versus someone who doesn't have the credential. And we'll be pulling in more partners, like the partners that we have at Lumina, who have some assessments that we have in place, and also other business partners as well, the small and medium-sized businesses that will look to bring on or hire people who get some of the certifications and the hard and soft skills that we have on our platform. So that's the abstract at a very high level in terms of where we're going with the new project. It's not an easy task, but it's something that we can accomplish. I know that given the skill set that we have on the team, so that's where we are here. And like I said, I'll post these articles so that you have some sense of what's the motivation around the global shift in the economy and the shifts in the skills needed in the workforce of the future. So with that said, that covered the first part around the abstract. On the swap, once again, the swap is scheduled to take place around the August the 15th. We're about 17, 18 days off from that swap. It will be a one-to-one. It will be a one-to-one swap for LGS and LPC. I would encourage you guys to go through the process. We're and the way that the new chain has been developed, there's a pre-mine approximately, I know it's in one webinar I mentioned that it was 10%. Hey Gary, I know we said it would be like a 10% pre-mine, but yet we've targeted 18% pre-mine so that we'd be able to do the things that we said that we're going to do within this new project of creating a platform, an AI learning and assessment, training and coaching platform so people can reskill, have their blockchain-based certifications, and actually reintegrate into the fast-paced, technologically advanced global economy. With that said, the swap that's taking place, LPC, LGS, be able to put your coins on LPC, LGS, be able to engage in a one-to-one swap And then at that point, the new wallet will be on the multi-currency wallet on exchange. So you'll see right now you're seeing basically two wallets that are on the platform, LPC and LGS. But then there will be an additional wallet on the platform as well. So you'll just leave your coins in LPC, LGS, and then we'll make the swap. We're going to disable the deposits and withdrawals for a period of about 72 hours so that we can get everything in place and make sure that the scripts run properly. And the scripts are actually something that's relatively easy to do for every single account. Get the balance on LPC, LGS, and then create the grand total of the unspent transactions on those accounts, and then send the new coin to the wallet associated with, or address associated with, that particular account. Now, going through that process after that 3-day period, so now you're looking at around the 18th, the 19th, the new amount of the new coin will be in the wallet, and then you can be able to withdraw. At the same time, LPC will still be available, LGS will still be available, and as I mentioned before, Lydia, for those who are interested in still pursuing and moving along the path of the LPC project, and they can feel free to do that. The exchange platform will still be here. We won't be supporting the LPC or LGS wallet, but we will be supporting the wallet if it's available on the multi-currency platform. So on exchange, the wallet will still be available, but at the same time, we're no longer supporting that project because we will have shipped to the new coin and the new focus of that project as well. So if somebody still wants to pursue the work in supply chain, we can still be at the position where I introduce you to the contacts that we have in the space within supply chain, and then you can interact with those individuals moving forward. So if someone, like I mentioned before, still want to move forward with the ATM, you can say, hey, Damon, okay, I want the ATM. I want to be able to move forward with LPC. You'll be able to do that. You say, hey, could you send over the ATM and the things that we have in place? Sure, yes. At the point, you're going to have to pay the shipping, but it will be available. So the back end of this web wallet, is it similar to LPC, such as being based on PIVX? It will be a masternode coin, and it will have the most recent up-to-date versions of masternode-based coins. So who will be given the needed tools to support those projects? And that's from Kenny Black. For that, it's whoever in the community wants to step up and run it. So if it's the case, like right now, if you wanted the keys to the repository, you can have the repository. But like I mentioned before, it's when Vlad left the project, he destroyed the seed nodes. The keys were taken. We don't have. If we wanted to do an update to LPC LGS, we can't. Even though those master nodes are still there and they're running, we can't make any more updates. So it would be a chain that's no longer feasible. But yet, if it's the case, you guys want to come over and run the project through exchange and then get the new coin listed on ATMs, that's something that you can move forward on. But our focus now is building something for the future, whereby we have an AI-based learning and training platform based upon work that I've done in the past. I see. So at some point, do you all plan to release the code on GitHub? Yes, Mike Rogers, we will be releasing the code for, and I'm calling it Exchange for now, the Exchange coin on an open repository that anybody can view. And once again, it's going to be a masternode-based coin, and it will have all the updated features on for privacy, instant send as well. Will LPC LGS survive the exchanges after the swap? Now, that's the question that you have to ask anyone who decides to stay with the LPC LGS project. Similar to when Bitcoin, go back 2 years to like November of, I think it was November 2017, when there was a fork of Bitcoin. If someone decided they wanted to go ahead and they forked Bitcoin, created Bitcoin Cash, but yet it still moved forward. So Bitcoin has still moved forward. Depending on who wants to try to run with that project, they can. Um, would it make sense if CoinLogic takes over LPC at this point? That's someone else. Um, for someone coming in and like CoinLogic, if they wanted to put their developers and fork that chain, then they could run with it. But why fork a chain? But why fork a chain if it's the case that there's already been a swap? Um, that's one of the main concerns that I'm really trying to get a handle on. Who's going to manage a project that can't be managed from a development and technology standpoint when the seed nodes have already been destroyed by Vlad and those keys already taken? So we're doing that swap for that particular reason. But if they wanted to come in and come into a new project, we need to have that discussion around what role they would play in the new coin. So
Hey,
I know
David.
Colin raised his hand, and I'm going to pause here.
Yeah. So are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me share some information because I think this may answer some of the questions that you may have building up there. So let me first address the naming. Right, as you guys know, we're going to look to the community to help us identify the name of a new project. So we will be releasing a survey on Wednesday of this week. My time Wednesday, I think, depending on where you are, it may be Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday this week, we'll release a survey. That survey will ask you really one question: what is your recommended name for the new coin? It will also include some information from the abstract because it's very important to understand the use of the coin, right? The use of the project. That should help you name the coin. We want to make sure we have a name that is relatable to the business that we are in. So that information will be available in that survey. Then, if you have an idea, very easy, submit your name for coin. After about I believe I have 3 days. After 3 days of people submitting names, we'll then have another vote. That vote will take place over 2 days time period. Now, starting next week, we'll have webinars once a week. So in our next webinar, we should be ready to announce the selected name. So 2 phases. The first phase is submit your potential name for the coin. Then we'll reduce that list and ask you to vote on a single coin name or project name. Once we have that, we'll announce that next week, and then we'll go into start doing some new branding. You start seeing that name in some documentation. You start seeing that name and, of course, a logo and whatnot. So that deals with how we identify the name of the project. As Damon mentioned earlier, go in now, start creating your accounts on Exchange. What this does, it helps us to identify any bugs and resolve those before we get to the 15th. Right now, we are on track, full steam ahead for the 15th. We do not anticipate any delays. So it's very important that everybody has tested out the account, everybody has sent coin to their account, and all the bugs have been worked out. As Damon mentioned, there will be a one-to-one swap for LPC and LGS. We will also be doing a one-to-one swap for ZLGS. That will take place after the main swap and merge. We're still working out how to do that, and information about that will be pending, but rest assured, we all have some ZLGS, so we're going to make sure that everybody is taken care of there. Right now, from what we've experienced, it should be very easy to create your account in Exchange. If you are having trouble creating your account, please just contact us either via Discord or via Telegram or directly through email, and we'll help you through that process. Right now, we've been so focused on creating, we have not had a chance to create some instructional videos. But hopefully somebody from the community will help us out there, either with a video or a document. Again, it's a very, very easy process on how to create your account. So please take time to create your account. As Damon mentioned, one of the main benefits of our strategic focus is we're now going into an area where everybody on the team has background. This is what we day-to-day basis. So you should see that you have a much more engaged team, and you have now a focus that is really supported by our skill sets. So we do believe that this is the best area that as a project we could move in. And as the weeks and months go by, you will start to see how this forms out. And Damon did share some of those key dates he had identified earlier. The last thing I want to mention here is there will be much more documentation information on the swap coming available, and there will be a freeze period. Once we've made the swap and merge, the accounts will be frozen for a number of for a while we do some other work. We want to make sure that the price is not impacted by dumping immediately. So we will have a period of where we freeze. We will have a period of where we are locked up. At the end of that period, you should be able to do transactions because we hope to be on exchanges at the end of that period. But we will be locked up for a time period. Again, guys, we're about 17, 18 days out. Everything is moving forward as planned. Again, if you have feedback or whatnot, please feel free to contact us via the various methods. Discord, Telegram, or direct email. Okay, Damon, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, and thanks, Colin. And I know I did reading through some of the comments, and I just saw a comment from Nelson where he tested one's LGS being sent. It's not shown up. What I asked by default, when you sign up for your account, you go through the process of verifying your email, and then there's an email when you send funds out. Those funds don't automatically just send to your account. There's an email that's sent to you from the exchange platform to your email address. You must click and authorize the sending of that transaction from your email address in order for the exchange platform to actually release those funds. So that's just a by default. It's a mechanism by which it's a level of protection, like the two-factor authentication. Setting up one-factor authentication, that's just username and passcode. The next factor authentication is going through and you having the authentication application on your phone, going through that, and then next being able to authorize the sending or receiving of LPC to an external address from your email. So I know S. Nelson, you just said I tested one LGS and it has not shown up. Colin has been helping me on Discord, but no solution yet. I'm hesitant to send the rest of my coins. And I'm talking you through that process now, Nelson. What I would ask you to do is go through and check your email, either check your spam. It might have gone into spam, but by default, the system is set up when you first create your account. Your system is set up where you have to authorize the sending or release of funds by clicking a link in your email within the email saying, okay, an LGS transaction from Exchange is going to give your IP address, is going to tell you that funds are being sent out to another address because it's logged on it's logged internally on the Exchange platform, and it's the case that you have to authorize through your email. So that's a level of protection for you. So go through that process. If it doesn't work, you can contact me. Well, and send Colin your email, or send your email address directly to me. And then what we can do is we can jump on a Zoom. And I think I did that with one other person who might have had some issues. But then we worked it out before we got to the Zoom. And then we can go on a Zoom call and handle the concern. So that's what I would recommend in solving the issue where you have with that one LGS. Make sure that you're able to authorize through your email, because that's done by default. It just doesn't send automatically to your wallet. You have to authorize through an email. So use a valid email address when you sign up as well. Otherwise, you're just going to have these authorization emails sent to an email address that doesn't work, and you're not able to get any funds sent out. So, and now we have a question from Romeo, and that King Cyrus, what's up, bro? We got Romeo. So what's the circulation supply on the new coin? The circulation supply on the new coin is actually a combination of both the total supply, actually the total supply. The circulating supply will be the combined circulating supply, the current combined circulating supply of LPC, combined circulating supply of LGS, which right now is hanging around 13 million and some change. So the total supply, if that's, I think, maybe the question that you're getting around to as well, the total supply is the total supply of LPC, which was 21 million, total supply of LGS, which was 21 million, which makes a total supply for the new coin at 42 million. So the total supply is 42 million. The circulating supply will be the current circulating supply of LGS and LPC, which is approximately 13 million and some change. I know everybody may not necessarily be able to participate in the swap. So right now I'm giving out questions, or I'm answering some questions that I'm anticipating that people are going to ask. People will say, okay, people are going to ask the question. Well, right now, and this will be fully released out in the white paper. So it's 8 to 18% is the operating supply of the organization. So there are 5 groups, roughly 5 groups within the organization, and each group will have a split of that 18% that's used for operating the treasury within the organization. I know I might have said 10 in a previous webinar, but that wasn't necessarily incorrect and correct for what we're looking to do in the long term. At the same time, there will be the same voting mechanisms through masternodes. There will be the same proposals for members wanting to put forth projects and be able to operate on those projects. But for the most part, what we do see is when the swap takes place, everybody won't be able to swap. There may be some people who don't get the news. If they don't get the news, then they're not able to swap. Because they're not able to swap, they may find out later. But then we're going to be kicking out more information for people to get on to the new exchange. So that's why I encourage you guys down below. If you check below, there's information on the web wallet. Go to the web wallet, create your account. Right now, we have about a little under 300 people or 300 accounts created on the exchange platform. I know our community is much larger than 300 folks, or it may just be one person with, say, 500 masternodes. But right now we have about 2,000 masternodes in LPC community, much less than that, a few hundred in the LGS community. But we have about 300 total accounts on exchange right now. So the demand is the demand for people wanting to change. There are at least 300 accounts or 300 individuals with emails that have been validated who want to swap through. At the same time, what happens if people aren't able to swap? What happens to those funds? Those funds, like say for instance, going through that 13 million, only 10 million gets swapped out. What happens to that other 3 million? So we'll be reallocating that to the community, to various events or activities to encourage participation. There may be some drops. There may be a distribution where if you have an account on exchange every month, depending on, say, that first month, if people aren't able to swap within the period, then you have, say, a 10% reduction in the one-to-one swap. So instead of a one-to-one swap, you get a 1 to 0.9 swap of LPC, LGS. What happens to the rest? It goes to the community. Everybody who has an account, we determine the number of accounts, we determine the amount of funds of that 10% that hadn't been distributed, and then we'll take that 10% of that remaining amount, because like I said, that first month you lose 10%, so you only get 90% on the swap, but the 10% we give it out to the community. After that, the remaining amount that next month is 80%. So now subtracting out. So I don't want to get into the math, but at the end of the day, each month we'll be redistributing that to the community. We'll have some events taking place as well, so that there will be some parity and some transparency to what we'll be doing. I don't know if there are questions, but for the most part, guys, man, I'm really excited, man. Y'all should be in a position where you get your accounts in place. Go ahead and test out your transactions, see if there are any issues, because once we swap and get going, man, I see us really having this thing take off. When you're looking around February of next year, which we should be at the point where we're fully operational. We have the platform built. We have all the APIs in place for the AI engine and for the training. It won't be artificially intelligence based initially, because we have to go through a training process before we do a full deployment. So we're going to have to learn these platform will have to learn from user responses as they're going through training. We're going to have to learn through some of the assessments being completed at first, but then after it goes through a period of learning, and the AI engine that I built, that code is copyrighted. It's protected. It's a smart test technology platform. It was built primarily as a result of my doctoral dissertation that was funded by the Educational Testing Service in Princeton, and used in a variety of organizations like IBM, Humana, Lumina. When I was there, that's where we really fully built out the platform. But then we're using that API within that engine. So if anybody wants to see the code and the algorithms associated with the AI engine, let me know. It's available in a book called Flow and Information-Based Theory of Challenge Skill Balance. And I'm willing to just open that up so you guys can see the algorithms, the code for the AI engine. It's copyrighted, but we can go through that process where I can walk you guys through how it works. Very difficult to build, but it's an AI technology that I was instrumental in building, not only from the mathematical models that were derived, but from the computer code that was subsequently implemented. So let me know if you guys have questions. Right now we look like we are so try Nelson searching for exchange or XC or exchange transaction. So that's the way we can start it. And at the same time, if you did send it out, you might have a transaction ID. Go into the platform and look under transactions and do a quick search, and you'll see that send out. And you send that transaction ID to either me or Colin, and then we can get it squared away to see where you are. But if that balance, it should be showing until it's actually released. There are a few things that we'll have to go through, but yet at the end of the day, if we need to touch base and do a Zoom, we'll do a Zoom to get you squared away. So that's what we have at this point. Let me know if you have any questions, Colin. I'll let you close it out.
No questions. All good on this side. I think I touched on everything that we need to talk to. Just folks, I hope you have some good ideas for some project names. We're looking forward to hearing all your ideas. And this time next week, we should finally have the new project name identified. Thank you.
Okay, and Mike Rogers. Once we begin to open this out, I can show you. So, like I said, some of the algorithms now. The code is copyrighted. I'll send you the links to the copyrighted code, and you can see the corpus that's on display. That's with the U.S. Copyright Office. All right, guys. Good call today. Let me know if you have any questions. We look forward to moving this thing along. All right, take care.